Okay. So I have Kirstie here, and you guys wouldn't believe how good the conversation was for the first 5 minutes that's not recording. So sorry about that. But I do have Kirstie with us. It's an excellent opportunity, a great time to discuss your careers, discuss resume, discuss interviewing, discuss salary negotiate. All those things is still hot in this central market right now. Before we get into a little bit of today's conversation, like I said, I want to introduce you to Kirstie. Kirstie, could you share a little bit about your background, what you do, what's your passion, how did you get in this space?
Sure. Yeah. My name is Kirstie Mitchell. I'm a human resources professional. I've been working in aerospace and let's see, tech and also healthcare industry where I worked in human resources. My specialty in HR is recruiting, but I recently moved over to doing like a lot of diversity, equity, and inclusion work.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I recently just started my TikTok page. And it was so funny because last year I was like, let me see what TikTok is going, what's it about? Let me see what's going on TikTok.
This mess.
Right. And I didn't really have, I knew I had an idea for sharing like this HR tips and helping people get jobs and resumes and stuff. But it wasn't until I'm like, okay, well, let me try to build this thing up, whatever it is, whatever information I want to share, let me build it up slowly because I know followings take a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And I kid you not, like my first video was like a stitch, and the first video I went viral. I knew nothing about TikTok. I was very new to the platform. I still feel very new to the platform, but it went viral, and basically that's how I got in contact with Jonathan and the financial group and all great connections. So I'm happy to be discussing about careers and just helping people get jobs, especially with this, like you said, this job market. It is really hot right now. There's a lot of openings for a lot of good jobs. So any way I can help, I'm happy to be here.
No, I appreciate it. I even appreciate the fact that, like you said, you're going to diversity and inclusion. We all know how important that work is needed right now. So even if we lost you on the front lines, at least you're still in the battlefield, so to speak. So yeah, that was one of the things when I was on TikTok and I was scrolling through. One of the things I looked at a few of your videos, and it was really I like how you really articulated the preparation piece. So understanding that you're in HR and you've done recruiting, what are things that, as a recruiter, hey, I got this resume, or what does it look like on your end? We submit our resume, and we kind of just, well, if you're like me, I just go on about my business. But most people, you're kind of hoping for a callback or hoping that your number gets picked. So what does that really look like after we submit for you, for even to get to you?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So it comes through an applicant tracking system, which is basically whatever software that organization uses to have your resumes be submitted or have people apply to their jobs. So a lot of people use Taleo or iSIMS. There's a whole bunch of them. But it comes through. So if I was a recruiter, I might click on a job and see all the resumes that have come through for that job. And as a recruiter, with some of these software platforms, you do have the ability to have the job open for like maybe a week, and then review like those resumes that you've gotten thus far. And then if you wanted to open it back up, you can, or if you wanted to close it or leave it open longer. But it just looks like a sea of black and white. I'm gonna be honest. It's a sea of black and white, just resumes, and you're really looking to find the right one. I think that before I worked in recruiting, it's so many hurdles. You're like, well, maybe they didn't pick me for this, or they didn't do this, or maybe they're looking for that. It's like negatives, but really, as a recruiter, you really are looking for the one. Like you're hoping you come across that person who's passionate about the job, whose resume is like well put together. They have all those action words where you're like, okay, this is going to be perfect for this hiring manager. So recruiters and like candidates, that is the connection right there, because recruiters are constantly looking for new candidates, and candidates are constantly looking to be put in front of the right recruiter to get connected with the job. So it's a sea of black and white. That's why sometimes when I do talk about resumes, and I have my own resume writing services that I provide, and I say like sometimes color is okay, like in professional like moderation, because it just sticks out. Like if I'm looking at black and white, and I see something with like green or blue, you know, it does kind of stick out, and I might spend a little bit longer on that resume. So having like special markers that stand out in front of a recruiter is important, and something that the candidate can do on their end to get noticed more.
So you notice you said action words. So if you're seeing a lot, basically black and white, all these different resumes, what is it just like a list of names, or what is the thing that makes you be like, okay, I want to look at this resume?
So you're trying to align it up with the job description.
Okay. The basic requirements, or okay.
Yeah, the basic requirements. Pretty much, if it's a hard to fill position, you're looking for those specific things that you know that hiring manager is going to be like, yes, this is the one. So it really depends on what the hiring manager is looking for, not even what the recruiter is looking for. So you'll assess like a resume based off the conversation you had with the hiring manager prior to even putting the job out there. So you're trying to make sure that, you know, this hiring manager wants to make sure that they are really good at communicating, that they're really good at attention to detail, you know, or the last person they had in there didn't pay that much attention to detail. So you know they're going to be hypersensitive about that. So whatever relationship the recruiter has with the hiring manager, that's what they're going to be trying to put in front of them. So it kind of correlates.
So even if you make it past the resume stage, I mean, I've done again not millions, but thousands of well, not thousands, hundreds of screenings, and I've actually got to the point where the screening. I mean, it's one of the things where in my head it's like a 5-minute combo now, because I got to the point where the screening they didn't even ask me anything.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm like, are you really screening, or did you kind of already make up your mind when you called me and you were like, oh, I'll make this call, but I'm gonna move on? What are some things that, even if it's not there, that what are some ways that we can transition and figure out, okay, what are you actually searching for, so I can make sure when I respond, I'm giving the correct information. Yeah. Not just, you talked about my experience. Hey, let me know about your experience. Is there a way that, hey, before we start answering, hey, a proper process or proper question that we should ask to maybe get some of that information before you answer, to make sure you're tailoring your answer to the audience?
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I always tell people to research like the pay range you want, the industries that you might want to go into. Know where you're applying before you get in the position and you're like, well, wait, how much are they paying? You know, like, is this even the industry I want to be in? You know, so know that for the jobs that you apply for, like, know that they're for you, you're interested in them, and you kind of have an idea about like the range of pay for that position or that job you're applying for. But I would say when you're communicating for the first time with like the recruiters or the recruiting coordinator, is just listen, and like also make sure your passion comes across. So like try to build a connection even based off voice. Like sometimes it's not even like what you say, it's how you say it. Can the recruiter kind of feel like, oh, they sound different. They don't sound so mundane. Like they sound like they really want to work here, or that they're really excited, you know, to showcase what they could do. I would say focus on like making sure that authenticity comes across through the phone, and that's hard to do. Mm-hmm. It's hard to do sometimes.
So if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the things that you're like, hey, this seems like common sense, but might not be that common sense? What are some of the misses that you've seen that you're like, yeah, just don't do this at all?
Typos.
Typos on the
Typos,
resume.
yeah. Typos on the resume, those will get you nixed before you even get
Can't
a
say
phone
you
call.
attention to detail and you got typos.
Exactly, exactly. It says a lot, even though you're like, oh man, it's just a typo, super small. These recruiters are looking for, some people might be superstitious. They might have like weird, things when they're looking at it, like, oh, they spelled this wrong. I'm not even gonna move forward with it. So yeah, show that you made at least a good effort to you put a lot of time in your resume. That makes sense.
Typos. Okay.
Yeah, typos for sure.
So you so you got through somewhat through to the hiring, or not even the hiring manager, but you get to the hiring manager. You mentioned discussing pay. Now that's a big one, and at this point, everybody's weighing in on the comment for. It's trying to establish a good foundation to have a compensation dialogue. So there are some
Mm-hmm.
people who are in the camp of, hey, if I don't know what this job pays, would you be able to share a range? And then you might get a kickback from that. But then they may ask you what were your compensation expectations, and then I'm in the big camp. And again, this was more of a learned thing that you're asking me. I worked at enough jobs that whatever I'm interviewing for, as soon as I get there, it's going to be something different. And as soon as it's something different, then I realize y'all didn't pay me correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to get that corrected now becomes a big process.
Yeah,
So,
right.
what have you found to be the most effective way to, number one, be successful in getting the information from them about, hey, what are your total compensation? Where's the range you're going to be in for this? And then for the app interviewee, me, the person trying to interview, what would you suggest I say as far as best practice when that first question comes up of what's your salary expectation?
What's your salary? Yeah. And usually they ask that question like in the beginning, like
Right. They
really.
always ask it in the beginning. No one skips
Yeah.
that.
Right. They'll ask you really soon. Well, I would say always give a range for sure. Don't just give a flat like rate and say, oh, my range is 85,000 or whatever. Always give a range between like, I would say 5 to 10. Um, and because you're not obligated to tell them how much you pay. I know in California, at least, recruiters cannot ask you, how much do you get paid right now? Because a lot of times, like, recruiters
It's
will
pretty
want to match
illegal
up.
everywhere.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, but some people don't know that, and they'll
Right.
divulge. It's not illegal for you to divulge it.
Right.
So if you as a applicant don't know that it's illegal for them to ask you, you might accidentally divulge. I've heard that several times where people are like, well, I make this, so I would be comfortable here. And it's like, oh, cool, great. Like I didn't even have to, I can go around that. So as an applicant, it is best that you know what these recruiters can and cannot ask so that you don't overshare and like kind of shoot yourself in the foot. Because once that recruiter hears it, they can't unhear it.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, okay, now I know.
He was already making such and such, so
Right.
this has to be
Right.
good.
We know this is good enough. So you don't ever want to be in that situation, and it's really bad because I think you were going to mention like there's been a lot of conversation about like, is it the responsibility of the recruiter to be like,
Right.
oh, we're in this bigger budget or we're in this lower budget. The problem is it's just really up to everyone's discretion. So you can't trust that somebody is going to be forthcoming and be like, well, you kind of underbid yourself. We're at this budget and we're going to put you up here. It's kind of like, great. If we can save money in any, they look better for saving money. So I would say always give a range. Don't share how much you currently make. And really, this is where doing your research comes in handy because you want to at least have an idea of like, how much they're paying or how much you should, like, what's the ballpark of how much I should be getting paid. I know how much it is if I'm entry level. I might have a few years under my belt. I'm mid-career, so I should be in this area. So you kind of formulate your own idea of what's a good, range for yourself based with your education level, based with your experience. You can be like, I'm really worth this. And sometimes that's the case. Sometimes it's like, well, I know the range, but I know what I can bring to this organization. I know I'm going to bring this amount of work. I know I'm worth more than, 100K. So that's what I want to ask for. So yeah, just use your discretion and provide. A lot of people make the mistake of being like, oh, well, they might not have the money for it. I don't want to.
It's really just a conversation, and
Yeah.
I really think, and I really kind of wanted to spend a little bit of time here because we all, I myself, I'm the same way. It took me a while to really grasp the reality of what's going on from offer to acceptance. And the fact is, I'm big in business and personal finance now, so I understand a little bit more. Plus, I've been a leader at several different organizations, so I really understand it. Number one expense on any business's ledger is people.
Yeah.
The human resource expense is the biggest one. And so from a business standpoint, if I'm going to go get my product, and maybe you have to ship it from some dealer, if I tell the dealer how much I have to pay, they're going to ask me for how much I have to pay. They may ask me for more.
Yeah.
But if they tell me, oh, well, it costs $8 per unit to get this out, and I was willing to pay $16, I just saved that extra money on that. People work the same way.
Yeah, right.
It's the same way. You're coming in to provide a service. If you're a vendor, honestly, I can't. I hate to say it like that and try to. And I know people. Oh, we love our people. Yeah, but the fact is, they're trying to pay you money in exchange for what you can offer them. And because this is the biggest thing, because they already got to pay your benefits. So this is the biggest thing. They're like, okay, how can I mean, I wouldn't say they're trying to price gouge. I do think organizations want to pay you equity, but they don't want, you also got to think none of your work is really proven out because they don't know how much you can stand on. You can kind of tell when somebody's talking, but that's the piece that separates the successful people and not, because anything I tell you I'm going to do, I can do. But there are a lot of people that can talk that good game, and you didn't talk them into all this money, and they'll let you go within 90 days. Like, hey man, this didn't prove out. So, really understanding the fact that, hey, this is their business. The recruiter, the HR, it's not to draw a line, but the fact is they work for the company. They can share the range, but when you come in for the range, it's just like if you were a small business and you want to do a sponsorship. You have to lay out reasons why you need to be paid X, because they're not going to see that. They're not going to know. So if you, like you mentioned just a few minutes ago, hey, my range is 75 to 80. Well, I want 80 because, number one, I've already done what you're wanting to be done after I talked to the hiring manager. So I've done that in a few different places. I know what this need. I can do it with anybody because I've done it in many different sectors. Number two, I do have the education to back up what I'm doing and to be compensated fairly based on what the market aligns. This is where people with my credentials get paid for this type of work. Now, you know what I mean? And that's fair. That's not me going off on you or anything, but this is just the facts. But if you just tell them, oh, I want 80,000. Well, why you want 80? Well, it just feels like a better number. Business people don't want to hear what it feels like. Like they don't. They want to have a reason. If you go into your boss, if you're at a job, you don't get to go in there and be like, I'm underpaid. I just feel like I need a raise. They're gonna want to know, why do you need a raise? Well, I did this project and it had this effect. That's why I need a raise, because that's what it netted to the company. I'm just getting a little piece of that compensation. But your thoughts on where you think we have opportunities to grow with getting good at this conversation until the tables turn. One, you did mention was the fact that, hey, can't ask you what your salary is. So
Yeah.
that right there is a great, springboard, because you don't have to overcome that objective.
Yeah, right. And you know that going in, you don't have to share it. And you know
Right.
that even though if you don't understand why, knowing that is illegal, you know that it's important to them, so you can withhold it if you need to. But I will say, because I really like to help the employees and the candidates, because organizations, they already have a lot, they already have so much power.
Right.
And I think that sometimes I've heard from people who want to get jobs or are in jobs, they consider the organization a little too much. And it's like, okay, you got it. You can't think for them, because that's not your situation. You wanna act on behalf of yourself.
Right.
They're acting on the best behalf of their organization. You have to do what's best for yourself, no matter what the budget is, no matter what you're asking for. And you do have to. There's a level of preparation you have to do in order to become successful and good at that, because it's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not something that they teach you in school, where it's like you're going to be in this hierarchy structure, this matrix, and to do this, you'll have to advocate for yourself, and this is the way to do that, and you want to be able to communicate with this person. They don't tell you that. We all kind of just are figuring it out.
Right.
And it was surreal when I first started working in recruiting, because I remember so much being on the other side of that table. It was surreal for me. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember being so, nervous on an interview or on a phone screen. Yeah. And and just being interviewing somebody else, I'm like, sometimes I'm really listen, I'm like, dang, I remember what I was doing.
Exactly. My interviews are not like what I went through, because I'm like, look here, I'll tell you in the job, look, I'm going to send you an offer. So
right.
You ain't got to worry about if you're going to get called, it's when. If you're ready for it, I'm going to send you an offer.
It's we actually need you, so don't be nervous, because we need you in here. And that's really the bottom line, because we as candidates, people who have skills and their labor to exchange for money, they need you.
Yeah.
We're literally running these organizations. We're carrying out the day-to-day tasks. So at the end of the day, they need you. I don't want to, a little bit more than you need them, because you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
And if you're really good top talent, and some of the organizations that I've worked in, it's those people were the best of the best. And it's no, we actually need this person. This is the guy, this is the girl, and this is the person we need. So what's the cost? And I think with a lot of these tech companies, they do have a bigger budget. So that's why a lot of people are moving more to tech, because they are new to the kind of corporate game, and they're creating their own hierarchy structure or matrix for the work environment, and it's a little bit more tolerable than these traditional organizations. So that's where research comes in handy, because if you're jumping into nonprofit work, or maybe healthcare, on the business side at least, that they might be paying a little bit less, they might be having, smaller budgets to work with. So you really want to know, how much do I need to make?
Right.
How much do I need to make to pay my bills, to live the lifestyle that I want to get? How much do I need to make, and what's the lowest I'm willing to accept? So before you even go into your job hunting process, you want to know all those things about you and your situation, so that you can feel more comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I remember for this, I was negotiating for a previous job, and I was going through a really hard moment in my life, and I honestly could have cared less about the outcome of that situation. This is if y'all hired me, cool, but this is the least of my problems. And they were going back on, they really were trying to negotiate, play hardball with me on my salary that I suggested. And they're like, oh, well, can you come down? And because my mindset was so
aloof. Hey, look.
I'm like, if y'all can't do it, you get off
Cool.
my phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get off my line, like
Yeah.
somebody else can. But I was rigid on that because my mindset was out of, but really it played in my favor because they were like, okay. And you realize when after you go through that push pull of a negotiation,
Yeah.
you realize these organizations, they have the money. They
They
have the
do. They
funds.
do actually have the money, and you're
They
right.
actually
You do
have the
have to
money.
be firm. And like I said, I know I usually am. Hey, how you doing in the beginning? But when we start coming to the money, I'm like, all right, this is where it gets a little. I switch
This,
on people, and the reason
yeah,
for that is the same way as a leader. I'm like, hey, if I have to reprimand somebody, I'm like, yeah, this isn't gonna work. I need you to get to the point that I'm understanding. Like, hey, I don't play around about this. Like I
right,
know what
right.
the numbers are, and I'm being courteous because I know you want me to be able to grow within the organization, which that's not my fault. But all right, if I'm going to do this, this is my offer. And I'm to the point now that I give somebody a specific number. If you can't do
Yeah.
it, you either beat my number or you come
Hmm.
at it with everything else. One of the
Yeah.
things that I definitely want to just get your take on and get your perspective on it. Definitely want to connect people with you after was all the things you work in tech. So one of the things that tech really does a great example of is talking about all the other aspects to why a person is making 250, 350,000. And when
Mm.
TikTok is really good for that because they really quickly go through and be like, hey, this is my beginning salary. All these people work in tech, how much you make? Well, I make 350. I had 150 as a salary. I had a 150 as a sign-on bonus. I had 100 in stock option, and that's how I make 350. But I
Hmm.
wanted people to really understand you're missing the opportunity with the discussion of income when you focus solely on the salary, because somebody cannot. One of the things that we talked about in the previous conversation of income was the salary piece. The higher you go up, especially once you hit that six-figure mark, the less it's about salary and the more it's about all the complementary pieces that get you to that number. And one
Hmm.
of the stats was out of 150,000, usually 50 to 60% of that is stocks, cash bonus, is that type of thing of that actual salary. And so it's important that people understand, hey, oh, they can only do 80 or they can only do 90. Hey, I'm leaving a lot of equity with this company. Whether or not you believe you are, and that can be a different conversation to understand and break down what equity with the company looks like. But every time you leave a company, you are actually leaving money on the table. Now, how you quantify that and how you quantify those benefits, that's going to be on you, but not
Yeah.
accounting for that and that organization and not asking that organization to be considerate of that fact, because especially in this market where you're likely taking somebody from there, you're by definition leaving money on the table.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, what are some of the things that should be talked about when you're discussing a total compensation offer?
Yeah. Um, well, some of the basics are salary, healthcare, dental, medical, vision. Like you mentioned, stock options. That's like a newer thing. And if you're most tech companies do that, or a lot of them do, or really profitable companies. And let's see what else. It's a plethora of things. They might include childcare in there, and maybe your organization might throw in childcare. And even with like the total compensation package, that's still all up for negotiation.
Mm-hmm.
So if you needed childcare and it wasn't offered, say you might want to negotiate that aspect within your package. And who's to say you couldn't be like, hey, I already go, I'll need childcare, a childcare provider for this job. I already have one that I'm using. Can this be included? Can I get this paid for? Like you can ask, and all the worst they can say is no. They're not going to take away the whole, package. At that point, they really want you in that job. So it goes back to kind of knowing what you need out of an organization and like how you can make the most out of your life while you're working there, because it is going to be your life. So what do you need? Do you need elderly care, or do you need a specific type of health benefit, or do you need a specific type of health care? So it's all very relative to what your needs are. So don't just look at the salary. I think a lot of people just look at salary, although it does make up the biggest part, and that is, that's like the tangible of it, because a lot of people don't even utilize their benefits. Most of the times they get into the job and they don't even look at their 401k, or they don't even, they barely go to the doctor, or what have you. So salary is still the main component, but know that's all still up for negotiation. You can still negotiate some things in and see if you replace something, like, hey, like my total compensation packet includes this service, but I don't really utilize that. Can you include like that into my salary range? Maybe it's an extra $5,000 per year. So see if that's an option. And a lot of the times you need to assess like who you're talking to. So if the hiring manager they're not going to know what to do with that information. Most of the time you'll be talking to the recruiter. So know who to bring up the right information to. And usually in the screening, because you mentioned screening, usually you're talking to you may be talking to like a recruiting coordinator. So somebody who's supporting like the recruiting team. So they don't have any say as far as like range or how much they can give and take within. They might, they might allude to the fact that they do, and they might say like, oh, well, let me see what I can do, but they're getting approval. But just understanding when you see those titles, know who has the power to negotiate with you, and you're actually making real traction versus you're just, talking to somebody who can't really speak up on your behalf once you get off that phone. So yeah, knowing that it's literally all business. It
really is. Yeah. And one of the things that, like I said, throughout this great resignation, unemployment at 4%, one of the things that, as I talk to people and speak to colleagues that have switched roles, that's been forthcoming a lot is the whole idea of the sign-on bonus. Everybody got a sign-on.
Oh yeah. Right.
And I think that is just a opportunity that, just like salary negotiations was kind of in the dark, the sign-on bonus piece, I think, is missed completely by everybody. I think we just all overlooked that, because again, with that sign-on bonus, I don't know if they got like some sort of kitty at the job or whatever, but it's like they can pull a lot of stuff out that sign-on bonus that all these other pieces, they're limited on the movement that they can make, but then they're like, hey, we'll give you this extra cash to throw at this person, because again, it makes sense when, number one, from a leader aspect, I've talked to COOs and be like, hey, we got to get this person. Well, we want this person to come here and they stay X. Well, we need to pay for that. So that's the cost of doing business.
Right. That's true.
Or, hey, we're wanting to yank them out for our project, but they're about to leave a $10,000, $12,000 bonus. You know what I mean? But we need them here now. You know what I mean? They will pay for that.
Yeah.
So really, this how do you kind of incorporate in that? Because again, I think the situation with the economy, the labor market, has forced recruiters and companies to really kind of be outlanded, because everybody, like the conversation I've had, that's been one of those. They brought it to me and I ain't even mentioned it yet. I'm like, oh, well, since you bring it up, you know what I mean? Let me that just makes it a little bit easier. But still, I think even once this subsides, we still all need to be talking that sign-on bonus. Like that's a big piece. You know what I mean?
No,
first 30 days, we need that. What is some ways to really include that in there when discussing? Should you talk about it at the salary expectations? Should you wait? What does that really look like if it's not brought up?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you actually mentioned that, because that totally missed my mind, because hire-on bonus, or sign-on bonus, that's huge and is used a lot. It is used a lot. Most of the times, you're right, they will bring it up to you. Especially if you're highly sought out, if they're like, this is a really good candidate, we really want them, we know they have a lot of offers. So it can be used strategically. maybe you mentioned that maybe you mentioned you're still interviewing and they've already decided that they want to hire you. To sweeten the deal, they might say, well, here's a hire-on bonus. If you are still trying to decide and you are like, I don't know about this job, I'm kind of feeling this over here, and they're really pressuring you, that's something that you can absolutely negotiate and say, hey, I'm really looking at this job. I'm really interested, but I might like the project work that you are talking about at this position. Do you think that we can have a sign-on bonus to help, to include on the offer, on the acceptance offer, or what have you? And that's something that you can bring up at the end of it. So it is all about timing, and you kind of mentioned that before. So the timing that I would suggest is when you do the research, it kind of gives you an idea on what jobs to apply for. Then once you start communicating with like the recruiting team, you are you're like, okay, I'm getting a sense that this might be a good fit for me. I would say still hold off on salary, even if they mention to you like what's your salary range, give them the range and then keep going. I wouldn't start talking negotiations until I'm given an offer. Literally until they're like, we want to hire you.
Right.
I'm like, and then that's when you say, great, I like the offer, really good work. Here's my counter. I'm really looking to be here. I have a counter offer for here. And you can even say that I have a counter offer this other job. Like, I'm really interested as well. Is there any way that we can increase this? Or is there any way that I can be given a sign-on bonus of 10,000, 5,000, 15,000? You'll be surprised at how high they will go up, especially for a lot of higher level positions, executive level, senior level. So you have to understand like what role you're already engaged in, what level of career you're in. They will do it a lot of times for like interns. So or like new fresh out of college kids that they're really trying to get on board. They'll do it for they'll do it for entry level employees as well, but those still are.
It increases with the level.
Yes.
And then just one quick thing, because again, this came up when you talk about things that they can ask you for. One of the things for me is they can't ask you for proof of another offer. Or proof of what you had. Even if you said you had equity at your job, they can't ask you for that. That's actually illegal. So I found that out just through, and I thought that was interesting because I was like, on the document, I went to go try to get something, but I'm like, all these documents are internal, boss. So I can't give you that. And then when I thought about it, that makes sense. Why would they seem kind of secretive? Even when they gave me the offer, they're like, we appreciate if you don't share it with X. So I'm like, okay. So I'm like, you're asking me for something that I can't give you. The fact is, you can or you can't. I mean, it is what it is, and it will kind of go from there.
And sometimes you have to assess, like, if you don't have any ties with them,
right?
Why am I, going above and beyond to prove, that I have another offer? I don't even have a contract with you yet.
Exactly.
If it's still in negotiations. So yeah.
Yeah, that's so good. Now, Kirstie, and I butchered your name like 4 times. Please.
No, you actually said it good. You said it perfectly.
Okay.
Kirstie, you said it right.
Yeah, I would keep that one. I would
okay.
Keep that one,
most people butcher it. Most people butcher it. It's okay.
Yeah. How can people connect with you? What are some of the things that you offer? I know the email Careers by Kirstie, and like I said, we'll if you're watching this on YouTube, we'll definitely get that down low in the description. But if you're in the Facebook group, we'll get that posted. Yeah. What other ways can they connect with you?
They can connect with me. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And some of the things that you offer in your platform.
Okay, yeah, for sure. Well, my page is called Careers by Kirstie. You can find me on TikTok. I also have a resume writing service. So if you're looking to update your resume, I will update your resume with some exclusive resume writing. And that's all through my direct me, and I can send that to you. It's a link to just all of my pages. I have an Instagram page that I'm working on. I'm still very new, Jonathan. I feel like I'm barely scratching the surface of like just jumping on an interview. I was telling him this is like my first interview from somebody that's seen a video. So this is super cool. I'm getting there. But yeah.
Now you're stepping out there, man. You rolling.
Thank you.
You rolling. I can't do that. I'm more of a post, and hey, you get what you get from me. Like I'm just trying to give you value. Like all the little words and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I ain't that fancy.
I hear you.
But I guarantee you, once Money Talks is really generating, I will hire somebody. If y'all like to look at that, I'll hire somebody to do it.
You're right.
I can't. So yeah, we're gonna connect with you, guys. She's gonna give you that info, that link, and I'll definitely get that shared. So appreciate you dropping in. We're gonna hang out a little bit behind, but guys, this is one of the actually. In history, this is probably one of the best times history making for if you're looking for a job, this is one of the best times in history to do it. If you hadn't considered, if you just were trying to make traction, I mean everything from if you're trying to switch careers, if you're trying to go into a new industry, or if you're, maybe you got a couple of years experience and you're trying to really cross that threshold of higher level C-suite, middle level exec VPs, all those different types of things. Right now is a more sensitive time for you to make that move that you normally wouldn't have been able to make due to requirement because people are laxed on that because of how much the labor market is just so competitive. And those are the things that it's not that you don't like your company, but if you can't be a VP there now and you have the credentials, and somebody else would like you to come be a VP, how much do you like them? And like I said, for me on the money side, while costs are steadily rising at a ridiculous rate, that's why you must consider this. What's most important? Because at the end of the day, they're going to make their best decision. So until next time, guys, yes, check in this week on Thursday. I'm going to have my partner wholesaling come to the group. Can't wait to talk to you. And Kirstie, I'm going to talk to you shortly.